on this computer. Okay, here we go. Okay, thank you, Colleen, so much for sharing with us tonight. This is our fifth call of our Business Quick Start program. Colleen is from Pennsylvania, and she has been with Pampered Chef for 20 years. And Colleen is also works full-time as a client service representative in addition to Pampered Chef. I have been told by Missy that you make customer care a priority in your business. We are excited to hear what you do, so I'd love to just turn this over to you, Colleen. So take it away.
Thank you. Yes, customer care, I think, is one of the things that, oddly enough, I'm most passionate about in my business. I just really enjoy talking to customers after the fact. And I think that's why I've been in business for such a long time. I recently located full-time to Pennsylvania. I was kind of doing a back and forth thing for about 4 years, and now I'm here all the time. But the majority of my business is where I used to live in Michigan. But before I kind of get into the nuts and bolts of customer care, if you guys are taking notes, what I want you to do, I'm going to ask you 3 questions. So I want you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being never and 10 being all the time, where you are consistently offering customer care to your clients. So 1 being never, 10 being all the time. Okay, everybody got that number? Wheel them out? Okay, so the next question is, if your customers were to rate you on a scale of 1 to 10 about how you offer customer care, where would they rate you? 1 being never, 10 being all the time. Okay, and then the last question. Not including any of the communications that Pampered Chef sends on our behalf, if you're including that in your customer care, where would your customers rate you? So with that, are your numbers matching? Would your customers rate you the same as you're rating yourself? Are they different? Just something to think about. I know there's a lot of hangups when it comes to customer care, but I want to just kind of put this in perspective for you. When you go on Pampered Chef University, there's all these training modules, and they're all across the top of your screen, and they're selling, booking, host coaching, recruiting, and customer care. And the reason why it's there is that that is one of the most, it's a part of your business. It's not optional. We don't book parties and not coach our hosts. We don't go to cooking shows and not sell or talk about our opportunity. And we don't recruit and not help new consultants. But for some reason, customer care is just kind of like left out there, that people think it's optional. And if you want to maintain a strong business, it can't be optional. It needs to be something that gets part of your rotation. So you want to just kind of get a system for yourself with customer care. And with that, one of the things that I think we get confused about with customer care is that we think we have to be everything all the time when we communicate with our customers. And customer care should be just that. You're looking after your customers and the products. And I don't want you to confuse it with a booking call or a recruiting call. It can lead into that eventually, but we should always start with customer care, period. And the 2 biggest hangups I find with people with consultants when they're not sure about customer care, first is making time for it. And second is, I've never done it. I'm not sure. I feel bad. There are some great resources on Consultants Corner that I'm going to get to, but I will tell you, never feel bad about contacting your customers. One of the best things to do if you're kind of dipping your toe into the customer care pool is to contact people that were at parties a year ago. A lot of our products have a 1-year guarantee. And so we all know that our refrigerator dies the week after the warranty is up. It's just Murphy's Law. It happens. But wouldn't it be nice if someone called us or contacted us like a week before the warranty was up and said, hey, by the way, your warranty's coming up. Is everything working okay? And you're like, no, it's making a strange sound or whatever, and you can kind of nip that in the bud. We have that opportunity to offer that to our customers. So customer care has really evolved over the years. As mentioned, I've been with Pampered Chef for 20 years, and I still do a lot of customer care calls. But it's hard because a lot of people don't answer their phones all the time. And, I'm guilty of it too. If I see a phone number on my phone, I'm like, I'm not answering that. Who is that? So one of the easiest ways to get that, to be able to get the communication happening is when you're at a party. This is what I do at parties. When I'm doing my introduction at parties, I always ask everybody that's in attendance, and even on virtual parties, I do ask customers to do this, and guests, I will say, please put me in your phone as Pampered Chef Colleen. And the reason why is that they might not remember my name as Colleen, but they will always remember Pampered Chef. And so it's super easy. If they have a problem, they can just text me, call me, they just look up Pampered Chef. If they're out and about and someone's like, oh, I'm looking for a Pampered Chef consultant, they could be like, hey, got one right here. She's right in my phone. It's right there. So that does a couple of things. First and foremost, we always answer phone calls from people we know. So if she picks up her phone or he picks up the phone and sees that it's Pampered Chef Colleen calling, they're more likely to answer and or answer our texts. So customer care has evolved over the years. It used to be phone calls, and I was always adamant about making phone calls, but times are changing and we have to change with them. So texting is a great way to build that relationship. And what you want to do with texting, because it's a little bit different, you want to engage with people. So when you're sending, and I will do the same thing. If I'm leaving a voicemail or sending a text, I'm not going to do exactly the same thing. If I'm leaving a voicemail, I'll just give you an example of what I would say. If I'm calling a customer, and I try and follow the 2-2-2, and I call it the 2-2-2-1 method. So I try and call 2 days after they place their order. But I'll get to that in a minute, because I actually do all my customer care calls 1 day a week. I do everything on Wednesdays. And so I will call everybody who's been to a party in the last week. And so that's my first two. So give or take, just to thank them for their order and let them know that I will be in touch with them once their order comes in. So 2 weeks later, again on a Wednesday, I will call everybody who received their order in the previous week or text them. Now, with that, I do gauge it. If they're young, I text them. If they're older, I call them, because everybody's a little bit different. We're in such an interesting time right now where the older people don't text. They want to receive phone calls. Young people, they're like, they don't even know that their phone makes phone calls. They just text and use it for everything else. So I always gauge my customer care to the customer specifically. And I'll make some notes, but usually if it's fresh, I can remember when I've met them, what their age and how they want to be contacted. So a week after they've attended the party, 2 weeks later, and then I do 2 months later. And every time I contact them, I will let them know that I will be in touch eventually. And then at the 1 year mark, I do also touch base and just say, hey, some of your products might be coming up on your guarantee. Just want to make sure everything is okay with them, that type of thing. If you are texting, you want to make sure that you're engaging them. So if your text is bigger than your screen, that if they have to scroll down to read the whole thing, so if your text is, hi, it's Colleen calling, Colleen from Pampered Chef, just checking on your products. Are you happy with your food shopper? Are you interested in having a party? We have a great special coming up this month. We've got cookware going on, and then we've got this great kid rebate, and blah, 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 blah. And, and they're scrolling and scrolling. They're not going to do that, because a lot of people, we're all busy. And if they have to go through this whole thing, they're not going to bother. So basically with text, you want to make it short and engaging. It's Colleen from Pampered Chef. Did your order arrive? Yes. Great. What's the first thing you're going to make in your muffin pan? I'm going to use my mother's recipe. Fantastic. When are you going to do that? Saturday. I'll check with you next week and see how it goes. This is how it goes, because that way you can start building the relationship and make it go further. And then when you're touching base, one of the things that I always do is I'm always offering recipes. Do you need recipes for your products? Those of us who have been in Pampered Chef, I joke, since the covered wagon days, or we would, go to the parties with our wooden crates and everything. All the products came with recipes, and it was great, but now they don't. And so sometimes somebody will get really inspired at a party and buy something, but they don't know what to do with it. So I always lead with recipes, and that helps build the relationship. So that's just something that works for me. So what I would suggest is, if you're not doing customer care right now, don't be afraid to jump into it. Just start where you are. Don't worry about the customers that are in the past. Just go ahead And it's never too late. Like I said, that 1 year mark, it's never too late to touch base. And, admittedly, sometimes I've gotten off track and, it's maybe been a month and I haven't contacted them. And so I'll say something like, I just like to give people a little bit of time to try their products out before I check in with them. And so you always kind of have a little bit of an out. And what's most important is that you do it. So schedule it, build it into your systems. There are some great resources on Consultants Corner. Definitely visit Pampered Chef University, PCU, and take the training classes there. There are also 2 great audios that you can listen to, and you can find those in the training audio section on Consultants Corner under the Training and Resources tab. One is called 5-Star Customer Care, and the other is called Phone Courage. And that one's a little bit older, but it's really great if you're kind of feeling unsure about how to get started with contacting your customers. It gives you a lot of great ideas, and it's really, really inspiring. So the other thing is, don't feel bad if you don't hear back from people. It's nothing personal. What you need to focus on is that you've done your job. You've done your job by contacting them and letting them know that you're there for them, above and beyond announcing that at a cooking party or in a virtual party. I always wonder when I see one of the examples is in the Quick Cooker group, which I'm sure almost everybody that's on this call is in that group, that questions when people say, how are we setting ourselves aside from the Instant Pot? And people say, they have consultants available 24/7. But I always wonder when I see that, it's like, are you really available 24/7? And I think everybody would say, yes, we are available. But do your customers know that? Do your customers know that they can contact you? Because they're not going to think about it unless you make that offer. So we just have to let them know that we're there for them and remind them of that. And I will say I have an amazing repeat business, and I have loyal customers that I've had for 15 plus years because they know that I'm always going to be available for them. I mean, within reason. I mean, I'm not answering text messages or phone calls at midnight. Okay. So, but I will always respond to everybody within 24 hours. And that's just, it makes them know that I'm there for them. And one of the things when I started Pampered Chef, I never wanted anybody to say to me, are you still doing Pampered Chef? And nobody ever says that to me because they know I am, because I am in touch with them as their consultant. So I'm just checking my time. Okay, I was told I need to keep this to 20 minutes, so I'm right on track. I saw this quote the other day and I loved this, so I wrote it down, and it said, do you know what's more salesy than reaching out to someone who's already purchased from you? Taking their money and then never speaking to them again. Mm-hmm. So if you're concerned about making customer care calls, don't be. Our customers deserve to hear from us. And if you think about every other direct selling company party that you've ever been to, have they ever called and checked on you? Seeing if you need a reorder or seeing if your products are working out okay for you? We have such a unique opportunity to set ourselves apart. And, we're already one of the premier, or if not the premier direct selling company. This is just going to take us to another whole level. So throw your questions at me. What questions do you have about customer care? Your concerns, you're not sure. What do you have? I'm happy to help you kind of work through that.
You were very explicit. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, let me ask you this. Who's making customer care contacts now? Whether it's text. Yay. Okay. So Kara, I see your hand up. Thank you. Your customers are very happy. Okay. Eileen, Melissa. Okay. I've got to keep going through the list here. So.
I like how you started the call, Colleen, because I look at my numbers and I had to smile when you asked what my customers think, because we have come such a long way. And I know I've been with Pampered Chef for 28 years. And Pampered Chef really at this point makes us look pretty darn good. Like we are consistently sending those out. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it just kind of light bulb kind of went on with me, even though my customers think that's coming from me. going that extra mile is just going to make it that much more personal, because if they have more than one consultant, they're also getting repeat things. We have to keep that in mind. And not,
and that's so true. And I'll just tell you a little story of something that happened to me a couple years ago. And this wasn't that long ago. I was doing some customer care calls, and I called, it was a 2-week call, and I called the customer and said, I'm just calling to check on your products. And she goes, oh yeah. She goes, I went to 3 Pampered Chef parties that week. And I thought, oh my Lord. Okay. And she said, and you know what? I decided I want to have a party. So do you, when are you available in this month? And I pulled out my calendar and we scheduled it. And I'm like, we're all set. Yes. We have that moment when we're, not in front of the customer. We're like, and, she said to me, she goes, do you know where I live? And I said, well, yeah, you actually I live on the same street. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah. And the thing was, what I learned from that is that she was ready to book a party. She just booked with the consultant that contacted her.
Yeah.
She didn't book with me because I live near her. She didn't actually even know. And I think what's important is that why the follow-up is so important. And another example is I was at a party and doing full service checkout. And I asked, the customer, do you have any questions? Do you need anything? And she said, no, I have a consultant. I work with her closely. I've been working with her for years. Okay, fine. No big deal. And, I would obviously never poach. And so a couple months later, I get and this is why it's great that Pampered Chef does some things on our behalf. I get a call from her and she asked me to do a fundraiser for her child's high school band. And so I'm like, sure, and I should have asked and I didn't, I'll be honest. But when we were getting ready to do the fundraiser, I did ask and I said, hey, I remember at the party you said, that Jennifer, whoever it was, is your consultant. And I'm curious why you didn't ask her to do the fundraiser. And she goes, oh, well, she doesn't do them. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she goes, well, you said you do fundraisers, but she never said she did fundraisers. Mm-hmm. So that was really eye-opening for me. So it's a great opportunity for us to let people know all of the different things that we have to offer in case we don't get to do it at a party.
Okay.
Good point. I just recently listened to that phone courage training, and you said it was old, and it is. It's so funny because they still call they call our teams cluster.
Oh, did they? Yeah.
But the information on that training is still so relevant and so.
Well, that's because our business is very basic. And I think that's one thing that's great about direct sales is that there's a lot of basics to our business. And when we stick to the basics, our business always works. And whenever I have a consultant that kind of gets off and has a hard time, bring them back to the basics, because the basics, they always work. Booking, recruiting, selling, customer care, it always works.
Yep, that was on our call last week. She said one of the things is just to keep it simple. Mm-hmm. Sweetie or sir. That was her kiss. Keep it simple, sweetie or sir. Well, Colleen, I can definitely see why you have loyal customers and repeat business, and just hearing it again and hearing your ideas, I think are really going to help all of us, and just feel at ease, because like you said, even if you don't hear back from people, don't feel bad, feel good that you're doing your job and you're not just stopping with the sell, you're taking it that extra step. And that's what people will remember about you. And like you said, that woman went to 3 Pampered Chef parties. You were the one that followed up. If I had gone to 3 parties, I would book with the one who followed up with me as well. So that just is something I think we should all keep in our heads, that people really, it's a lost art.
It is.
And so people are like, wow. And like you said, we have to kind of tailor it to age groups. And I really like that you talked about the text messaging, because my kids have given me a hard time about Mom. It used to be, Mom, your voicemails are too long. We're not going to listen. Mom, your text messages are so long. So thanks for that, Colleen.
No problem. Happy to help.
Anybody have any other questions for Colleen this evening? Well, thank you all so much, and especially Colleen, thanks for joining us. And I really appreciate you all taking time on your Sunday night. And we have recorded this, so I will post the link, and I can share that with you too as well, Colleen.
Oh, thank you. That would be great. Thank you.
And she can share it with you, since Facebook's been so weird lately with all these friends. Laura Polito, I just got a request from her, and it wasn't from her. So I'll have Missy share it with you, Colleen, okay?
Okay.
Okay, thanks so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.